So, is it Bob? Yeah. Would you mind bringing up the web page a second? wiki.openstack.org/N for no.
Just go to the wiki and search for eucalyptus, or type it all.
Or go to just recent changes. There was a lasting change.
Really? It's been hours. What are people doing?
You've been busy, haven't you?
Me?
Yeah.
What did I do? I've been busy. Been busy.
Right. Oh, someone else changed it. Who changed it?
I haven't been busy. I haven't, but not doing anything to the wiki page.
Where's it going?
Okay. So first of all, it's probably best if we go through what our actual features here. Apologies to those on IRC. We're actually looking at, does someone on IRC want to paste that into the channel? That's okay, just for that. In fact, do we actually have any remote listeners? That's probably first best to check.
Maybe people will join late.
Okay, right. So looking at the actual feature comparison, Eucalyptus is probably one of our best benchmarks for looking at what EC2 currently is. And I think it's probably useful to actually go through what the current feature separation is to see where there's a difference. Now, Sori, would you be able to comment on the EC2 SOAP API? Nova from the comparison doesn't currently support that.
Right.
Can you comment on exactly what that actually means?
Right. Well, the EC2 API has like two flavors. One is a kind of flat HTTP query thing. You just do a HTTP get something, and magic happens. And the other one is a big SOAP thing, which is hideous, but it's all like this two different ways of calling all the same methods, and we just don't support it yet.
Okay, is that on the roadmap?
It's not really anything that's firmly on the roadmap right now.
Okay, is that because
I understand the important. I mean, I don't understand how to prioritize that. Is that important?
I was wondering the same thing, and it turns out that the Java libraries out there in the wild from Amazon, I think they use the SOAP API. So people using the Amazon Java SDK, Java EC2 bindings can't use.
So am I understanding correctly that it's just a different way of contacting the API?
Yep.
And for the use cases we're currently experiencing, the EC2 query API is what people are using.
Anyone who's reasonable is using the query API. So,
I'm glad that's on tape. Okay. Now, the Openstack API, that to me isn't really a gap. That's not something I'm currently concerned about, so we're just going to skip that one. Secure communication between endpoints. Now, this is quite a big one, really, because on a private or a public cloud, you're relying upon a trusted network.
Yeah.
What? Presumably, this is on the roadmap.
For both the SOAP thing and for this, there are blueprints that I have filed. Whether they're actually on the roadmap, we haven't actually nailed down the roadmap. We will in 2 weeks, but
it'll be discussed in the design.
Okay. But I imagine most deployments have a concern of insecure communication. Am I overreacting to this, or?
I don't know.
I think it depends on the organization that's implementing it. I mean, it's just the same with with any infrastructure that's tiered in any way. I mean, I worked places that were financial institutions that decrypted SSL traffic and re-encrypted it for everything inside. I mean, because they wouldn't allow any security.
How did you
And other places that just assume the inside is this soft, smushy thing that they don't care about. I mean,
yeah, the thing is that with something like Openstack, or Nova specifically, is that we're actually creating a platform that is supposed to run code by potentially very malicious users. I mean, so we're actually running their code. So a small network misconfiguration could, actually give them access to our message queue or data store or whatever. They could spoof it, or they could, they could snoop traffic. So if the network is properly configured, it's not a problem at all. If it's not, then it's very much a problem. So I would say it's something that needs fixing.
Yeah, I mean, would I be oversimplifying it if I said this is just a case of running through SSL TLS for the communication?
Slightly, because AMQP, RabbitMQ doesn't do SSL as far as I know.
Yeah.
But the blueprint says. So what we need to add basically is some kind of simple signing and encryption thing to messages. So we just have to do that.
Okay. It doesn't seem like a massive undertaking. I mean, I know,
No.
I know the your summit's sort of 2 weeks away, but
No, it's not massive at all. It's just I just put it on there so I wouldn't forget.
Okay. So it's probably reasonable to assume that's going to be happening within the next.
Oh yeah, I mean it should be more than
Okay.
3 days of work tops.
Wow.
Even that sounds.
You
I don't
know
know
the thing where you overestimate and then double it, and that's what you state.
That's what I did.
Have you done the opposite? Have you done the opposite to this, or
No.
do you really think 3 days?
Really shouldn't be much work.
Okay. Now, built-in web admin console.
Mm-hmm.
This is something which is quite important to UEC. For one, branding, and secondly, for user management. Now, I noticed there was an initial scratch at an Openstack web panel.
Yeah.
But it seems to have dried up. I mean, I haven't looked in the last week or so,
Nor have I.
but there was a handful of commits to it, and it was based on Cappuccino.
I know nothing about Cappuccino, so I haven't even touched it. I don't know what it does.
Okay, is this actually formally part of the Openstack project, or is this?
That's one of Mike Mayo's things, right? So, is that an admin console? That's not an admin console.
I don't know.
That's a client.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think that's an admin console.
Okay.
The thing I've seen that he did, which I haven't looked recently, just kind of like you guys, it was not an admin console. It was a client.
Okay.
When he doesn't, there's no way he's remotely. There's no way for him to do any of that. I mean, this was all done in like JavaScript locally, and he couldn't have accessed the administrative functions. Could he?
Oh, so this is running on local host?
Yeah, that stuff. That's what he demoed at the summit,
Oh, you're joking.
and I don't think that's what that is. I could be wrong. I should look real quickly because I don't follow what those guys do. They almost do all completely client stuff, so we just have ignored it.
I mean, if someone can give me some HTML and CSS that looks reasonably good, I mean, hooking it into the database and providing all the creating your user.
To be honest, the CSS and the prettiness, that's a very, very minor part. It's the actual infrastructure.
Not to me. No, seriously, I mean, this is the database schema is very, very, very straightforward. So adding new users and doing all that stuff.
Should anyone be caring about the database schema, or should we be caring about APIs?
Right now, in order to do so, for user management, there's an API. For other stuff, if you want to have a more global view of it, then I mean, I guess No, I guess if you're one of the cloud admins, you can actually do a describe instances and get a complete list. Everything. So most stuff should be able to work through an API.
Would it be easier to go to the database directly? Because, well, because I'm thinking if you have like multiple classrooms.
Yeah, but I mean, surely you want abstraction level there.
Yeah.
I hate the idea of running SQL directly against it. You know, there should be.
Sorry.
Thierry, do you have thoughts on this?
No. I think we need to have one, but
you sniffed the web panel, didn't you? Yeah.
No.
Okay, I thought you
I
did.
mean, I've done a lot of web development, you know, all the back-end stuff, so that's easy to me. But you know, coming up with something that looks good is very much not easy to me.
Yeah.
If someone can do that.
I mean, to be honest,
whip
that
up
is
the other stuff.
that's possibly not an upstream issue. You know, I mean, I would expect it to come Openstack branding.
Right, and then we drop in Ubuntu or something.
what we discussed during the spec discussion was that we could provide
You need to work
a
out.
web interface framework
Oh, that's
where
pretty
we
good.
would have branding and potentially image store plugins to
Yeah, I mean,
cover the functionality that we currently have with the UEC board by Eucalyptus admin interface.
Yeah. What's the name of your image delivery stuff?
Glance.
Glance.
Mhm.
So this is totally new to us. None of us have sniffed this.
Mhm.
What does it do, and how does it work?
So it's a combination of a caching thing.
The caching is not actually built yet, no.
Okay, and a kind of a registry
And an
proxy
API
kind of
to.
thing.
So,
So for instance, you could register like the canonical image store in this, and then you would have access to that. And the first time someone tries to actually use one of them, grabs it, and
So it's not an image store; it's a caching store.
Well, it
is.
no, it's not an image store per se.
Well, it sort of is, but it's
Yeah.
a front end to any place you want to store the images. But it's the thing that Nova would actually communicate to get the images.
Yeah. To you, it seems like an image store,
It has.
but actually,
yeah.
it looks in other places to
Yeah,
actually find the images.
There's a local file system
So
driver for it,
it's
and
kind
there's a cloud files, and there'll be an S3 driver. They've already started writing. I don't know if they finished.
so it's like a bucket thing.
Like a what?
Bucket thing?
No, it's more structured than that.
So
So for instance, it could talk to the canonical image store
Yeah.
and offer them as, like right next to the ones that users have uploaded to Nova. It could just list the ones from the canonical image store.
It
And the first time someone tries to actually use it,
No, it has an API that someone could. I mean, you can register an image and upload it,
And that hooks into describe images, does it?
I think that's the idea.
Yeah.
So the web admin console would plug into that.
Yeah, and does that expose it
Just
to an API? Does that have a Python API for that?
for which bit?
Because that sounds like a natural target to extend to the image store we currently have.
Yeah. I'm not sure how.
So if you go to the wiki and go to Glance API spec, it's Glance API spec. That or you can just search for Glance. It has the entire API is documented.
Okay, yeah, that's good. I didn't know that. Okay, that's good. I can probably move on from that then. Awesome.
Right. It's a JSON sort of thing. So HTTP JSON.
right.
So yeah.
That's sweet.
So
Image
it's-
management, image registration, and image delivery. There's 3 parts to it.
Okay. Okay, that's good. Okay. Come on. Okay, so the next one.
But yeah, I haven't actually used Glance either, so take it with a grain of salt. But I think it's pretty accurate what I've just said.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Will Glance be a separate component?
Well,
We're not, I'm not sure, I might pull it back in. This is one of the things that the developer asked at, like at the last summit, hey, this could be, we're gonna write this, it might be generic enough to be used for other things. There'll be a cache in there that can store anything and I kind of regret letting them do that. So I'm not sure. We're gonna have to discuss that at the summit.
Yeah, so
it made it isolated, so the people that were looking at Nova didn't see it.
Yeah.
That's the real issue.
Yeah, it seems to me two directions that can go in. It's either a case of provide a plug-in to it to point to different image stores, and Canonical being one of them. And the secondary approach is Glance is at the top level, and we push stuff into Glance. Not knowing the code, I don't know which one is most appropriate, but either way it seems workable. The former seems most exciting.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, moving down the list. Something which isn't quite gap, but it's certainly a gap against Amazon. About bundling instances. Is that something that you guys have thought about?
So supporting the bundle instance?
Yes.
Role?
Yeah. So that's having an instance and rebundling into an AMI, isn't it?
Or bundling without the kernel and RAM disk. Just, you know,
I don't know.
Hang on. Sorry, Rick. Sorry.
no.
Okay.
I mean, if the fact that you guys haven't done this.
No, it's a Windows only thing, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
But there's create image that's different.
There's a create image which is different, but this is strictly for Windows instances.
I thought this was for turning a running instance into an AMI.
That's create image, which is
From an UDS. Yeah.
Okay.
Client.
Okay.
It's confusing, the names are.
So what is create product instance? That's not what I'm familiar with.
That's what you do.
You
when
create
you do paid AMIs.
Yeah, when you have a paid AMI, you create sort of an alias for an AMI, and then people access it through that, and that makes it trigger billing magic.
Yeah.
And you guys support this?
Okay.
So,
As it says, info on Eucalyptus was provided entirely by Grep. Grep said, yeah, there's something that does it. Okay. So, sure, just go. I'll sorry.
That's okay. I mean, you know, it's you've clearly done a lot of work to generate this, so you can't be too critical when you're wrong. Okay, so create snapshots, exactly that, and I didn't think this was a big feature, but I was speaking to some other people, and apparently people use it quite a lot.
Which one?
Create snapshot.
Oh.
Yeah, we just haven't gotten to that yet.
That is.
Yeah, that will be supported. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'll be in the next. If that's not in like 3 weeks, I'll be surprised. I don't know about the API part, but the backend part, the Rackspace part.
It's not as
that API does. Someone will have to do the EC2 API part. Yeah, we're gonna do. That'll be done.
Okay.
Some of these things, you know, we just have to figure
Almost
out
all of
the priority of.
It's not.
Yeah.
Well, there's just some bonus stuff to catch up on.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, the purpose of this session is to try and identify which of these is, and which of them, yeah.
And also to identify the primary areas where that matter for UEC and that need to be closed as fast as possible.
Yeah. Okay, so describe availability zones.
We don't yet.
You guys do return true, you know, you do return 0, but it's the cloud capacity. So with against Eucalyptus, describe availability zones for both returns, essentially what cloud capacity currently is and what you can extend to.
Right.
And that is something which people have raised as a quite a large concern now. Architecturally, how much of an issue is, how aware is Openstack of the cloud capacity? I mean, is this, this is potentially difficult? Am I mistaken?
It depends on a couple of things.
Let me check. Go on. I'm checking.
Okay. Sorry. Do you want to answer?
Yeah, no, I mean, there are some potential architectural changes that we could do to increase scalability that could make that more difficult. It's like, you know, moving doing bidding in the scheduler. But, and having the nodes make decisions you wouldn't necessarily. One of the things we wanted to do is push as little state up the stack as possible. That's one of the things under very, very large scale operations. Pushing that state is, by the time it gets up there, it's invalid, and it's...
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, Eucalyptus, forgive me for speaking for you, we cried the fact that we couldn't get accurate data about what availability was, and they stated to us that it's an indicator.
Currently in the Rackspace Cloud, we can get all that information in the Rackspace Cloud with our current software.
And that scales, doesn't it?
Well, it scales to at least as big as we are now.
Okay.
So you know.
How many nodes do you
have? Yeah. A decent number. But we've had to. There are caveats because of that, and so one of the things, the goals that we have with Openstack is to just remove the limitations and the caveats, the little workarounds we're doing to allow us to scale the way we're doing it.
So at the very least, so if you had a chance to have a quick look there.
Yeah.
So at the very least, can we get an indication back about what the cloud capacity is and what the current usage is?
Yes, but it's a lie.
How much of a lie?
It just says no.
It makes some assumptions about. It assumes, for one, that all the nodes are identical and they have the same capacity. So it doesn't actually check, you know, this is how much this particular node can actually hold.
Well, the question is, how true do you want this to be?
QA want this to be very, very accurate. Personally, for me, an indication is suitable.
I mean,
I don't know what they need the data for.
Because they're using it to
check the results.
Yeah.
Sorry?
I mean,
so they're using it as the QA process. One, to be able to programmatically test the cloud by seeing what the availability is and what they've currently got, and also check to make sure it's running what they think it's running.
by the time you return it, it could be, it's some value of sort of true. I mean, and you can't do it, it's not like you can call 15,000 nodes and say, tell me everything now, so I can report
the
it
more
back.
accurately you could describe exactly what data points it is that they
So for my usage, I use it to see that my cloud is all up and functioning, communicating correctly. So
it's
I can see
simple to check
nodes.
like how many nodes are registered and how many nodes are part of the pool. I mean, that's simple.
Yeah.
If that's actually what you really need, I mean...
Yeah, Carlos isn't here, is he? No.
I suspect that what Amazon returns in that case is also completely well.
Yes, yeah, there's no way.
They provide information like that at all?
Yeah, I don't, it's not, it might be partially true at some point in time. I mean...
Yeah, but as you're saying, with a large
Which is
deployment,
no good for QA.
for a large deployment, once you press enter, that's all you want.
And UDS used to be very precise, and as soon as they started to scale, the measurement became less precise for that very reason, I think. So using it for QA purposes is probably wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't support this if the only use was for QA. We need a better way to do this because this is expensive.
Having some kind of wild guess that can emulate what probably Amazon does on how much available it is.
Okay.
That's why the less truthy it has to be, the
okay. I'm going to move slightly onto a side note.
If it could be random, then we can give it the right way.
Now, for me, this seemed to be an obvious something which wasn't there, and it was something that I raised, and this aspect. But on a slightly side note, something that we've got in the current UEC in Maverick is to be able to actually see which nodes the instances are running on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and
Are you talking from an administrator or from an end user?
Well, a user really doesn't care.
Yeah,
and
that's what I
admin
mean.
shouldn't want to care.
And not only do they not care, in most cases, we wouldn't want to tell them.
Yeah, and I support that. But as an admin, it seems people do want to know.
As an admin of the cloud.
Yeah.
So someone who's actually a system administrator that has their own cloud.
Mm.
Yeah, they have to know.
I don't think there's an API for it, but the information is available.
I can't see. I mean, naturally, you know the code better than I do. I've smelt it, but the design seems to be very much in such a way that the main cloud doesn't even know where the instances are running, does it?
It does.
So which part of Nova knows where the instance is running?
It's in the database. It's in the data store.
And what does it store it by? What's it identify?
Well, the host and the
IP address or
Instance ID.
well, anything.
Well, how can the instance ID store it's the instance ID to know where it is?
Sorry, what?
How can the instance store the instance ID to know where it's stored?
The instance doesn't.
Instance doesn't.
The
So I
instance.
thought that was...
No, I said it's stored by the. I thought you were asking
that's
how,
what I mean.
what
It's,
information is there. Yeah.
physical node. Yeah. How does Nova know which instance is running on which physical node?
It's in the database. I mean, there's one database you can query it.
Okay, you're certain on that, yeah? Yeah.
Pretty sure we look in the code right now.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
there.
I mean, if you're
It's there. If we didn't know it, we couldn't shut it down. Or
Well,
no, because you're doing it by
Well,
messages.
we'd have to. Well, but we have to communicate with the hypervisor. We have to know what node it's on. I mean,
Aren't you doing it by messages?
let me just check.
Okay, I'm sorry for being an ass.
Yeah.
Yep, it knows which host is on.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, it knows
okay,
that.
great. That's great. Okay.
Yeah. Luckily, you're an ignorant ass. That's my favorite kind.
Yeah.
But yeah, we could totally have done that. I mean, if it
In a
didn't
way,
know, we could use message queue, but that would mean that anything that we'd have to broadcast everything,
The message is to everything, and that's
Yeah.
not something you.
or have a topic for each instance. That's just silly.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So,
Okay,
yeah,
no, I mean,
that information.
So there, you based on what you've said there, it seems a trivial task to be able to expose what machines, what is running on what hardware.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Added
That's
to Nova Manage.
Yeah, so I mean, we probably could have avoided this whole discussion by saying that we're going to add all that kind of management tool in the next 6 months. That doesn't.
okay. That's great. Okay.
6 months implies not time for.
Not necessarily. So I'm just not. So we're going to have a couple of release cycles there, and I'm not saying for sure which one's going to go. So
Maybe some by then, some not.
yeah.
But I
Over the
mean,
course of the next
yeah.
6 months.
I mean, to be honest, the purpose of the session is documenting which one of these will and won't be achieved. So it's unlikely that ones will be achieved. So yeah, but
I wouldn't say. I mean, it's all going to depend on our. Like, you're going to have to come to our summit and say this is really important to me, and then
it's
we'll
not important to me.
prioritize it.
It's important people have told me. To me, it doesn't matter. The whole purpose of planning is you don't care.
But we have to prioritize these things and decide what we're going to do first.
Yeah.
And it could be the first thing we do. I mean, it's one of the things we have to do before we can deploy it at Rackspace. So we have to do it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
We have to replicate a
That's-
very large suite of management and sys tools that we
Yeah.
have now. They all have to be duplicated.
Okay, to be honest, I mean, that's given us confidence in that, so I think we can move on with that. Describe snapshots. Is that a used feature? I haven't heard anyone really comment on that one.
It was when we were doing the testing, it was in our little list of tools to try.
But just like we don't support
We
snapshots
don't
yet,
support
so
snapshots, so
we
you can't describe it.
we can't describe them.
It's one of the first things. Those things.
I mean, as soon as we add snapshot support, that's going to be one of them.
That actually might
That's
even
gonna
be in
one of
a
them.
merge proposal already. I mean, that's
Together with create snapshot.
Okay, let's move on, that's fine then. So the next one...
Reset image attributes.
Reset image attributes. Image attributes, tell me about them. What do you currently set image attributes?
Modify image attributes?
No, reset.
Reset. I think I don't know why we don't support it. I think it just resets it to the default, which is
surely the difference between modify and reset is quite similar, isn't it?
modify changes it to a specific value, reset sets it to a default value.
Yeah, so that should work.
I guess, if I remember correctly. I mean, it's something like that.
Okay, so that's what is titled under EC2 compliance.
Shared AMIs.
Sorry.
That's shared AMIs. Next.
Oh yes, yeah. So I was to say that's the ones for Amazon. So this is the next section. So shared AMIs. So am I right in saying that currently?
The
So
only thing,
I
they can either be public or not public. You can't share them between
Just
specific
specific
users.
groups of
Okay.
people.
Right now.
Is that a major undertaking to add that? It sounds reasonably trivial, doesn't
It's
it?
not.
Really?
It's not like years of development, but it's not just a
It's
two-line
not
patch.
3 days.
4.
8.
No.
So,
I mean, I could hack it in a
so
very short time, but I want to do it properly. So
can
it
you
involves work on Swift and making sure that ACLs there are mapped to these ACLs, and that is actually a way to differ between someone trying to download the image or someone trying to execute the image, because
yeah,
EC2 has that granularity. So there's
yeah. So
stuff.
currently you have public or private.
Yep.
If you're having a private one, this functionality is about being able to share it with other single users.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm just thinking database structure. That's basically essentially adding a record for each group or user that can take that. That doesn't seem to be a major concern.
Is it a feature currently for the current Rackspace Cloud to support shared images?
No.
No.
Okay.
So that's
Not yet.
probably not
Yeah, but that.
priority one for Rackspace, right?
I get the impression we will soon.
I think it is. I think that some of the, like all the glance stuff isn't the API for registering images. That's not supported in Rackspace. We're doing that all in OpenStack, and it's going to go into Rackspace.
For a private cloud, in order to have, I can see a use case of having working groups where, so for example, if Canonical deployed this internally, perhaps the landscape team, which is a proprietary product, wouldn't want to share it with the rest of Canonical. It is something which I can see as sought after, but it's interesting that it's not concerned with Rackspace. So this would be something either coming from Ubuntu or one of the other partners. Is that correct?
Mike said that it was part of the plan.
Oh, it is. Sorry, I misunderstood.
I don't know that we'll call them shared AMIs, but first we would do this support in the OpenStack API, and then in Eucalyptus. So we wouldn't let, not Eucalyptus, in EC2. We wouldn't let EC2 drive the functionality. We would decide the functionality and then write the API code.
So next is availability zones.
This is correct. Availability zones. So availability zones is having multiple clusters where people can be running in a separate area at a time, as I'm sure people know. Is this something that is on Rackspace's roadmap? Yeah, I thought it would be. And that's probably within sort of 6 months sort of time.
Yeah, that's in that same, yeah.
It kind of already works. It's just exposing that things are actually in these separate areas. It's not, completely glued together.
Okay. Then if it's on Rackspace's roadmap, then I'm satisfied. Booting without a RAM disk. I thought you addressed that.
Yeah.
It was too late. I didn't want to go in.
It's an empty server.
I have a branch to do it.
Okay, so it's essentially fixed. It's just,
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It's not merged yet because I've been on holiday and been here, but it's done.
So looking at the list so far, I'm taking notes. Apparently the only thing that is not already blueprinted or on track or in the roadmap. The two things are the SOAP API and the web admin console.
Yeah, I thought it was fair to say the SOAP API no one particularly cares about.
Yes, but the web admin console, we can care.
Yeah.
Right?
So
Yes.
I'm not sure I would say that's not, so it depends on what Rackspace wants. So right now, Rackspace has command line tools, and they have a web console that they can use to actually manage things. I don't know that that's a requirement yet. If that's a requirement from Rackspace, and I'll find out over the next 2 or 3 days whether they want it to necessarily be that way, they will have to do that. I mean,
Because we have a...
if it's not, then that's something extra. If they only require command line tools, then that's something that might be out of scope. That's something that if we provide API or command line tools, you guys could. We have to hack together.
I mean, UEC was something we want to do for UEC anyway, is enrich the web interface. Because what we've currently found with UEC with Eucalyptus is Eucalyptus provides a very good and feature-rich web service, and we've rebranded that, and in the last cycle we tried to add extra functionality, and that it wasn't really working. It wasn't a good solution. I mean, Dimitri tried really hard for this. So we're so something that we're hoping to do is actually, or I want to do, is for us to create a web interface, and it seems a very good fit for perhaps that to be one of our contributions.
It's a session tomorrow at 11 discussing the web UI and how we could, because it's important for the market that UEC is targeted for, which is the enterprise private cloud, and maybe it's also a requirement from Rackspace, but it's certainly a requirement for the private cloud setting. So that's one of the areas we have identified as potentially being developed internally. Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so now we've covered the main list, I would really like to hear of any concerns that you haven't quite seen with parity.
Well, there's one that we're doing with testing was if you're buying a firewall, then Openstack when it start.
The testing framework relied upon pinging.google.com.
Yeah, I have a branch that fixes that.
And that was to identify what the public IP address, wasn't it? And how have you resolved that?
It's not actually to find the public IP address, it's to find the IP address of the interface that will be used to go out. So I fixed that to call IP get root something.
Okay.
Because that tells you the source IP that you'll be using for that.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you want.
Yeah.
So there is a fix for that. I'm kind of surprised it didn't get merged. Maybe I didn't propose it.
I haven't tried it because it was on canonical passwords.
So it's totally fixable. It's completely trivial. It's just
Okay. Was there any others?
It's just a global. Since we're trying to get both Eucalyptus and OpenStack working well on Ubuntu, some of our tools are hard-coded to use UKRC, and they'll break our tools working with OpenStack. I don't know.
So hang on, sorry. If I can just rephrase and see if I understood what you were asking there. Is that you're using Yuka tools to work against, so on your client machine you're using Yuka tools to work against the Eucalyptus cloud and OpenStack cloud?
Well, it's basically Scott's scripts to upload stuff, like X2C scripts.
Oh yeah, for his images.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If it's in-house like that, that should be...
Well, it's just the scripts that you're using in testing, or I was thinking like if we can find some commonality with Eucalyptus and OpenStack.
So essentially having different groups, because in UKRC, I know you guys call it NovaRC, but everyone symlinks it to .UKRC. have it. Can there be? You are sorry?
Do they? I had never done that.
Oh, really? Then you don't have to source it.
It's
It
awesome.
just works.
Yeah.
But we
What?
have our own tools. So we
Yeah,
end up using
I'm
Google
just-
Manage and stuff like that. So
Yeah, I'm just.
No, client tools.
Fine.
So for actually, create instance, start instance.
Oh, so the
So your
Yuka
credentials.
tools,
Yeah.
they source.
.yuka RC.
I see, I didn't know.
Yeah,
Oh, it's
that's
just,
a recent
I
thing.
just always source.
Yeah, I don't think any of us.
Mobile RC.
Yeah,
Okay.
well, we always ln.yuka/RC.
Okay, I just always source it, so it's part of my environment.
Maybe
and
it's-
then-
Maybe you can find some commonality so our tools don't really break.
Yeah, so such as being able to have multiple credentials. I mean, this is a bug that needs to go against Yuka tools really. Being able to support multiple,
Sets of credentials.
multiple sets of credentials. I mean, you could potentially have three in there. You could have one for Eucliptus, one for
Amazon.
Openstack, and one for Amazon.
I have a.
Or you can, I mean, just source it. I mean,
Yeah, but the trouble is we don't source. Anyway, this is a very minor issue, and it's not a bug against OpenStack. This is something that could potentially be raised against Yuka tools.
Alright.
But it's a good point actually. It's one I hadn't previously considered. Did you have any others?
I'm trying to remember from testing. Are the Maverick images uses that multi-boot stuff we talked about? You and Scott talked about?
For kernel reboots, we have a reboot with a new
No.
kernel.
what's the question?
The grub boot floppy thing we talked about?
Yeah?
Yeah. Is there a way we can get that fixed? Or we just do a patch ourselves? Or
I don't know about this, but it's probably.
our Maverick images uses for better words, grub boot floppy.
So, do you mind if I
Yeah,
just
go ahead.
interject? I mean, this is a good point that Chuck's raised. On Maverick, we can do kernel upgrades, same as you can in the Amazon cloud. You don't need to start a new instance to get a new kernel. If that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. In order for us to have this functionality Eucalyptus, there is a patch that inserts a floppy. Scott felt that it would be quite easy to add to Nova. Do you have plans or concerns with this approach?
We're adding like a way to just boot like a whole disk. So if there's a kernel
Yeah.
and a bootloader, we just use that.
You're a genius.
We're doing that, and that's going to happen in the entire Raspberry cloud.
If it hasn't happened already, I mean,
It's a couple of weeks away.
Oh, really? That's it.
I don't know how long we'll have all the images up there. But yeah, I'm told that they're going to be supporting it soon.
Looking through our list.
Okay. I just want to sort of try and get one from everyone. So should we come back?
Yeah, go.
Thierry, did you have anything? No?
Nope.
Rick, is there anything that we've covered?
No, I think that the one thing that I think that we need to make clear is that we're not looking at a list of things that Eucalyptus has and trying to copy that. That's not really our target.
No.
So there
no,
could be things that you guys want to support that we just don't, because we're looking.
Yeah, I mean, I introduced
Yeah,
I introduced the feature comparison as there was a good use for the purpose of this
just so that
session.
people know that's not how we're going to, do it.
Okay. Is there anything specific? So, are you looking in different areas that we haven't previously considered?
Well, so for example, like I would see us doing some of those Amazon features, AWS features that don't exist, scaling, load balancing. I could see us doing those long before we do some of the API things that are used less often.
Such as, sorry, what do you mean by load balancing?
The
Load balancing as a service.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Is that for CloudWatch? Is that what that?
well, cloud is another thing, but
Yeah.
we want to probably support that earlier as well.
Okay.
Because that's way more interesting than paid AMIs or
It's
you know,
going to be.
other
We're going to be driven by the features that Rackspace Cloud wants and that NASA wants.
Okay.
More than anything.
What sort of problems? So presumably this functionality is going to go to the Rackspace API.
And we will do whatever we can to get it supported by the EC2 API too.
Because I'm just sort of worried about divergence.
At some point, you know, we're not going to be constrained by what the EC2 API does. So what I don't want to do is make it so that we have to write features that are not the quality and not as functional as we want to support that API. But
is it fair to say that you look at the EC2 API as sort of a legacy mode?
No, but that one that we can't just continue to chase forever and ever. If we actually want to innovate and do new things,
Sure.
we have to not.
Right.
So we have to.
And if you're handcuffed to a competitor.
Yes. So that means we need, as we're writing a feature, we need to think about the way EC2 does it, so that we can eventually put that in the EC2 API. But
it would certainly seem natural that if the Amazon API does innovation, then Amazon's going to be chasing you on that feature. And
they think they're going to do just whatever they want. They have their own. I don't think they're going to be chasing anyone.
Okay.
But we're not going to be chasing them.
Okay, I'm just getting on the time. Okay, that's a good point. Was there any other things you thought?
No, nothing.
Okay, Dustin.
I don't think so. I probably didn't belong in the fishbowl for this one.
No. I mean, is there anything that any concerns? Okay, we can come back. I mean,
Okay.
Sorry.
Not that we haven't already, talked about.
Was the deadlines for Openstack blueprints done?
I think it's November 1st.
Yeah.
I think it's because I said it, but I think it's...
Can we get an extension?
No, get moving.
No.
Chop.
What?
What deadlines would slip?
Architecture board nomination.
Oh, that's nothing to do with the development. That's not a development deadline.
Okay, that's great. And just before we finish, we have still got 4 minutes, so don't be laptops away yet, children. Is there anything people here think we've missed? I mean, I'm interested in what you guys. Is there anything particularly you collected? Is there anything?
I think one thing I noticed is we talk about timelines with stuff that we're looking at getting in the next release, and I know you guys will probably sort that out in the next couple of weeks when you enter Summit. So, I assume that when you'll factor that in evenly.
Okay, sort of bringing timelines in.
Yeah, it's just good to understand where you're playing on both sides.
Okay, yeah, that's.
Yeah,
I know that's going to be addressed, and I think we're probably going to talk about that next week. Yeah.
We have two other UEC sessions, one on the web interface and the other on containers, which are two areas where we think we can add some value in UEC.
Okay.
So that's tomorrow.
Okay. Is there anything from anyone else? No? Wow. We didn't do that well at covering everything, did we? Wow. Okay, all right, well, thank you everyone.
Well done, Davey.
Yeah.